meteorologist and our radio brother, Joe Bastardi, joining us right now.
It is already summer. Meteorological summer is the 3-month hottest time of the year. That's June, July, and August. Okay. So, and in the valley, it's tilted even a little bit earlier, more like late May to late August, because that's when the sun's up highest in the sky. All right. And remember, once we reach the solstice, the sun starts getting lower in the sky. So we have all different. It's like anything, nowadays. You can't get a simple answer for a question. When's it summer? Well, there's 3 kinds of summer. There's solar summer, calendar summer, and meteorological summer. So if it's hot outside, don't worry. It's summer already. The reason I'm on this morning is there is an increased chance of rain in that vital watershed area that we look at so much. When I was on before, Charlie Rankin would always talk about. I never had a day off with the weather when Charlie was there, Sergio. And I know what would happen is he was always looking for something to try to trap me, So he would go, what's going on in the Rio Concho's watershed? So that area could pick up anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain. What's today, the 6th, between the 13th and the 20th, which is a good amount of rain. It's not going to fill everything up. What we'd like to see go on, and it's not as strong a possibility as I thought it was a few days ago, but it's still there, is to get something to come up out of the southern Gulf of Mexico up into the lower Rio Grande Valley or up into Mexico. What's probably going to happen is you're going to get 1 or 2 Pacific tropical storms try to develop on the other side of Mexico, and they stick a trough up along the west coast of the Gulf of Mexico, up in the western Gulf, the east coast of Mexico, and that enhances rainfall that can move northwestward into the valley. So that's something that could give us some extra rain in there. Now, much of the state of Texas has had a lot of rain during the month of May and on into, we're still starting that way in June, and it's trying to blunt the heat in North Texas. It's done a very good job in North Texas, hadn't done diddly squat around here. But once we get by the middle of June, it just looks to me like most of northern and central Texas is just going to turn around and bake the rest of the summer. But let me just say something. So far, I've been off on how fast I thought summer would really be cranking, centered over the Panhandle by now. Obviously, that's not happened. Instead, the area that has been hottest in May has been around us and on up toward San Antonio and back toward Presidio. This area has been 1 to 2 degrees, even in some cases 3 degrees above normal for the month of May, which effectively means that much of May was like June. So we've already been off to the races, and that's partly because it hasn't rained much, especially in the mid and upper valley.
Yeah, I tell you what, a lot of growers and water district people likely wincing with what you just said. Evaporation rates are going to be through the sky of all the water they're trying to retain at the canals and at the water sources. By the way, Joe Bastardi joining us on 710 KURV, and you can see his beautiful mug on 710 KURV, YouTube, X, and Facebook Live as well. Mutual friend of ours, Tommy Hendricks, says hello, by the way. He texted me and said, hey, ask Joe his opinion on cloud seeding options. And the reason I asked this is because it's been brought up at several water meetings of late. So anyway.
Well, that might be people think that cloud seeding is like weather. We've been doing that since the 1940s. I mean, one of the big things that happened, though, was there was a big lawsuit between, if my memory serves me correct, between Washington and Idaho, because I think Washington was seeding clouds and Idaho got mad because it robbed the moisture that was coming into Idaho or whatever. I don't know.
Yes.
But, that is something that cloud seeding, and I'm a big advocate of trying to seed hurricanes as they're coming to the coast. But that would do the opposite. What that does is that would, by causing the hurricane's condensation rates to increase, it would spread the hurricane apart and weaken the wind. All right, it would lead to more rain but less wind. So that's an interesting option. But I think that that may be something that should be examined, because after all, I mean, if we get cloud formation, we just don't get them to get up into the levels of the atmosphere where they can form thunderstorms all the time, because the atmosphere is so warm around here. So if you give them a little oomph, that's a good idea. Now, this is not to be confused with the knucklehead idea, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, which is what they're doing, or they claim they're going to do over the UK, which actually is to try to dim the sun. And this is a knucklehead idea, because they're going to use sulfur dioxide, which the U.S. spent hundreds of billions of dollars to clean out of the atmosphere, right? So I don't want people to think that cloud seeding is in the bad category. And as far as contrails or chemtrails or whatever they call it, the only reason you see those is if there's a certain kind of vertical velocity pattern up in the upper part of the atmosphere, you'll get condensation of the vapor trails coming out of the airline. They're up there every single day, except you don't see them every single day. So I just wanted to say that that's not, that people making a big deal about chemtrails, that's not modifying the weather.
All right.
Leave it to me. Tommy asks a nice, simple question. I turn it into a 20-minute answer. Well, I think it'd be a pretty good idea, but
like I told Tommy last night at a dinner gathering with other friends. Yeah, Joe, he's just like a spinning top. You just wind him up, let him go, and that you got like.
Oh yeah, I'm the Rolling Stones of weather. You ever hear that song, "Start Me Up"? Yeah, that's.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna try to connect you with my friend Aggie Marty Moore at D&M Cleaners on the whole chemtrail thing. You guys can talk each other's ear off on that one for a while.
Tell Marty not to worry about it. Yeah, right. What he has to worry about is why I was talking to Grok the other day. I said, how much money has A&M put into football over the last 5 years? And it comes out to the Aggies. This is where the Aggies are number one. And I'm an A&M fanatic.
Yeah.
Given the fact A&M has won 37 football games in the last 5 years, we spend, and I say we because I feel a kinship to A&M, $10 million per victory. This is number one in the country. We spend the most money on every victory. So that's something I'd rather argue about than over chemtrails.
Well, there you go, boosters. Open up your wallets. You want to win some more? Especially now we're in college football. They're, I guess, paying the athletes or negotiating to pay the athletes. Hey, I want to take it back to cloud seeding real quick. That stuff won't happen, won't be successful unless the atmosphere cooperates. You can't have like dry air. You need to have actually like billowing clouds and moisture.
Right. Well, if you have the billowing clouds, if you have the cumulus is building up, you could probably induce condensation. But if it's just a sunny day, all you're going to do is just drop the things into the air. I mean, that seems like a waste of money. But if you get the days where every day, we along the Gulf Breeze front, we do get some cumulus development, but that doesn't get all the way up into the watershed a lot of times. So
there you go, people. All that just to tell you, I guess we got a small chance of rain, a little bit, a few days.
No, we got to enhance. Listen, next week we got to enhance. It's going to rain next week. We need 5, 6, 7 inches of rain in there. So I think we're going to get 2 to 4 inches of rain between June 13th and June 20th in the Rio Contras watershed. I like putting numbers on it so people can judge me whether I'm right or wrong. I like to compete, and I always score things. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and see how much falls in there. But that would be good to start seeing at this time of the year. The main for Mexico, much of Mexico, I think, is going to be at or below normal temperatures, above normal precipitation, but it's in the spine of the country, the central part of the country, up into the southwest United States to the west of Conchos. So we need this rain coming up, in the middle part of the month would really do us some good there.
Well, so long as the Conchos area gets it, like I said before, I went to you and went to commercial. So long as they get it in northern Mexico, they got it in the dams. They can release it and finally pay back the water that Mexico owes the U.S. At least that's the hope for now. And otherwise, the White House can revisit that down the road. Joe, big hug to you from yours truly. And Freddie back there. Say hi, Freddie.
Hey, Freddie.
Back there. Say,
hey,
raise your hand. I can see you on the camera. Raise your hand. There's Freddie back there.
Yeah, listen, I see Freddie back there. Look, my voice is a little hoarse. Otherwise, I'd let loose with a greedo. I think I do that every May 5th, and I couldn't talk for about 4 days after. But
all right,
God bless you. I love the valley.
See you, Joe. Have a good weekend, man.
All right. God bless you guys. Love
Joe Bastardi, Weather Bell is the company that he has now. Weather Bell. Look him up. Our friend Joe Bastardi.